Important to have a plan and understand what your goals are.
In fact, my camel out there is suffering right now with a broken back.
So I actually found Pepe when it was only a couple of hours old, and I'm like, oh, this is a funny meme.
Oh my god.
Yo! Who is this Degen?
The old man is swing trading over years at a time. And it's like, that's where the real money is made.
The answer is a permanent loss. With single-sided staking, you don't have to worry about impermanent loss.
When really, at the end of the day, it's just the matter of a macro market. It's just what happens.
If you're aware, if you're disciplined, you can hone that into further financial growth.
Financial freedom, so we can actually live life and not have to be constantly living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, more or less, right?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and gentlemen of all ages. Welcome back to the Degen Roundtable flagship show, our Sunday edition, where we talk about the markets, news, and everything else fun going on. You're joining us for episode 69.420. Last week was our episode 69. We didn't realize it was until it was, so we were trying to do something special for haha funny number episode. But again, we somehow suffered multiple injuries in the same week, and people could not make our special episode. So that is being put on the back burner, but we'll absolutely do something fun in the future to celebrate what a terrific milestone of just, you know, being around for a while. So outside of that, though, yeah, folks, hi, I'm Zenith. I'm your host for tonight, and I'm joined with our great value technical analyst, Agent J. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing very good. Unlike the rest of the crypto space, January was a very good month for business. I don't know why, but January seems to always be one of my best performing months for my restoration business, and both in terms of profit and in terms of merchandise. So this week especially, or I guess this last week especially, was extremely, extremely good, which came at a very opportune time because it seems like the bear. You know what's crazy, bro? This is why I like about doing the live streams in our Telegram, right? It's because we spend some time. So whenever we do streams here, either in Degen Roundtable or over in Walk the Block, we tend to have a very, very broad long-term analysis, right? We do the broad long-term analysis from like a 20,000 foot view. But when we do the streams in the Telegram, we're down into the granular 1 hour, 15-minute time frames. And throughout last week, there were several bullish scenarios that we were working with, right? And the bears, bro, in like within a span of the last 48 hours, just invalidated almost every single one of the bullish scenarios we were playing with. And however, still predominantly bullish because they may have invalidated all of the short-term bullish scenarios, but the bullish scenario is well within intact, and we will certainly go over that today. But they have a lot of work to do, right? They certainly do have their work cut out for them for the bears. So, yeah, man. Other than that, the same old, man. I spend a lot of time on the charts. I spend a lot of time on my business. But other than that, it's been a fantastic week, and we'll see what happens on a market open tomorrow, because I have some capital to deploy if we get more dip.
Hey,
how about you, bro? What you been up to?
Oh gosh, I actually just did a bit of a road trip. So I drove last night up to Colorado, and I am some family situation stuff going on. But our family pet, our cat that we've had for like 16 years at this point, they were like, we need someone to take care of her, and I was like, well, I guess she's coming to live with me now. So
wonderful.
Brought her back this morning, getting her acclimated, and then she's actually having a great time over here. So very excited to have Marley in my house, and we were going to take very good care of her. It's absolutely a bittersweet thing though for me, because it's like she's 16 years old, so like straight up, like she doesn't have that much time left. She's a cat. They they die around 15 usually.
Yeah.
So we're getting a lot of good years. She's looking pretty spry. Lost a few teeth, but it will be great. And we're going to give her the best kitty retirement home that she could possibly ever have. So that is what I'm doing. Outside of that, though, I'm also trying to pay attention to everything going on in the markets. I picked every time. I feel like I've traveled for this, and then I traveled the other weekend for the Crypto Mindset Meetup. On this one, we had the pumped out tire launch, and we have what is effectively a giant fire sale and everything. And we also had Rune and Thorchain having their own issues going on as well. And then the week that I traveled for CMC, we had the Trump meme coin launch. So I've just like been away from the home desk every time these like things happen.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I'm missing out on stuff.
Yeah. The Rune and Thorchain thing has actually been going on for quite a while. And now it's just worst comes to worst, everything is just starting to unravel in like the worst way possible, which is a shame. You know, I like Rune. I like what Thorchain is trying to do. I certainly hope that, you know, their chart and their project is able to recover. But unfortunately, tragedy does not make exceptions for good projects. And it just so happened that they were hit with, this crazy, from what the very little that I understand what's happened is they're illiquid. So, so I certainly hope that they do recover. I like what Thorchain is trying to do.
Yeah, actually, I talked to our good friend Crypto Boogie in Vegas about this one. He had a similar experience that I did, which is that I was in Thorchain probably like last year, and it felt more like XRP, where it just was going, it would go up and then drop down and just traded a range, never made
range bound.
Actually any constant growth. So I got out of it then. I was trying to do a bit of a technical analysis play with Rune this time around. I thought that Rune was moving into a macro wave 3, so I was trying to catch that. And instead, it just failed. So I was like, I was telling Boogie, I was like, dude, this stuff sucks. I think I'm just never gonna touch this again. He goes, dude, I've been burned by that chain 4 times. I am never touching it again. I was like, okay, there's patterns here. I see something going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
wild
and
stuff.
Hopefully they recover, man. Right? It's like if you had a stop loss in place and you still believe the project, I mean, everything is going well. Most things are going down pretty harshly. Which is really something to say, especially since it's happening on a damn weekend. So
that is true.
If you still believe in the project, you're gonna get a better entry point, assuming you had a stop loss. If you didn't, I'm sorry.
All good, but I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on. Looking at the Rune chart in particular, there was actually a massive volume injection candle pretty much today, because we just crossed over our time threshold on the charts. So yeah, we had a green candle for Sunday, and price might be recovering, but at the same time, I think I'm just done with this one. So
yeah, sometimes you have to consolidate plays, man. You know, I've had to let go of a lot of projects that I really had an attachment to, that I really liked, because your capital is just better spent elsewhere. We had we were having a fairly in-depth discussion about Illuvium in the Telegram. And I was telling them, this is not an injunction on the project, right? It's like, I like Illuvium, I like the game, I like the team. The team is hyper competent, but like I was talking about with Thorchain, right? Good projects are not immune to bad price charts. It's just the unfortunate reality, right? If you can't market your product, there's no market demand. Nobody's gonna buy it, right? Especially if it's compounded by the fact that the issues that they're having with Thorchain, right? So. Right? Did I have to go with Illuvium? Absolutely. Am I telling you that the project is bad? No, but the price chart is fucking bad, right? And my capital is better spent elsewhere, right? The goal of the game is capital preservation and capital appreciation, not hodling things down to zero. I think that's one of the traps that people fall into, right? Because they fall into this I'm part of the group now, and the group says hodl all the way down to zero, right? That's not the point of the game, right? That's a fantasy. Okay, so the goal is to preserve capital and to appreciate your capital, right? Not if you want to lose money, then either go gamble it away over at the craps table or stay in fiat. So
you don't know how true that is, but yeah. Gosh, I saw you guys' Illuvium conversation, and I'm right there with you, which is it sucks to see it, because in my personal opinion, Illuvium is the #1 GameFi project in the space. Unfortunately, they just made a new all-time low by a good bit today as well.
Yeah.
And it's just it's hard to see that, because this was it's like we should not be making new all-time lows at this point.
Yeah.
If you're making new all-time lows at this point, there is something fundamentally different about your project than all the others. In my personal opinion, I think it's because Illuvium had a massive supply injection over the last year, and they also had the massive airdrop with the launch and stuff. And people might just be getting bored with the game, so they actually just start dumping everything, and that could be the cause for it. Yeah. So that's my personal take on it. But at the same time, it's like, that chart.
And a third of the supply is still locked up too. A third of the supply hasn't been released. So the only people in profit right now are the VCs. That's the unfortunate reality, right? If you're you're a second cycle project, right? So you already have that going against you. Number two, we are in the post-halving year, and altcoins are bleeding against Bitcoin, but good altcoins have higher lows against Bitcoin, right? Both in US dollar terms and against their Bitcoin valuations. So you compound that by, like, not only are you in the post-halving year, but you're a second cycle coin. You have lower lows against Bitcoin. You have lower low. You just hit a new all-time low post-halving year, right? And then you're not even so you're not outpacing Bitcoin. You're not even outpacing Ethereum, and Ethereum itself is suffering against Bitcoin, right? Like, those are reasonable questions to ask yourself as an investor, and all of those things are going against Illuvium. And this is not just against Illuvium, right? This is on a lot, like, freaking, what's that other project that's that other GameFi project that everybody likes? One of the old ones.
The Magic, no, not Magic Cats. Is it like one of those first cycle, like, kind of like play to earn kind of games?
Yeah. Damn.
I'm gonna say like Silkies or something.
No, it had Jewel, and one of the coins is Jewel. What was the name of the project, bro?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It had kind of like 16-bit graphics.
Yeah, exactly. It reminded me a lot of like old school Game Boy games.
DeFi Kingdoms.
DeFi Kingdoms, yeah.
That's what it
was.
yeah.
DeFi Kingdoms is in the exact same spot, right? It's not like DeFi Kingdoms is a bad game. It's just like the unfortunate reality is they just, like, the marketing is not there. They can't capture the attention of the space. So you got to ask yourself these questions as an investor, man. Don't get attached to projects that have a terrible price chart. Right.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, gosh, the space is only going to get more and more competitive with more tokens coming out, and the ease of launching tokens is only going to get lower, what am I looking for? It's going to be easier to launch tokens. Therefore, we're also going to get more tokens. There's also more people in the space. Therefore, the number of projects, as we've seen, has just absolutely ballooned. It's massive now, which means you're going to have more competition. So there's kind of like two balances, two ends of the spectrum you got to stay between. One is you have zero incentive, and it is a pure money in, money out kind of transaction with no staking, really, no deflation, no asset thing, just like, we are pure money. Whatever you put in is what you get out, like pretty close to Bitcoin. Yep. And then you have on the other side of the spectrum things where you are trying so hard to attract people that you're actually robbing your own ecosystem. And that's the stuff that we saw with like the GameFi projects that were play to earn, which is like you literally just have to spend time on this thing and we'll just throw tokens at you. And what you do by that in doing like massive airdrops and all these incentive and referral programs and stuff is that you are giving away so much of the stuff that it's no longer valuable.
Yep.
And so I think there's going to be this balance, and we're starting to see it with some projects, is that you have to find a middle ground. In my personal opinion, I think it's going to start moving closer and closer towards the Bitcoin side of the spectrum, as opposed to the play to earn or just be involved to receive tokens kind of thing. Yeah. Because we're at the point now where there's so many tokens that if you're just giving stuff away for free, it's kind of valueless. And at the same time, if you don't give people some incentive to be in the ecosystem, they're just going to go find something else that does reward them, especially if they're a whale or a larger player who has lots of stuff to throw around. And that's where you see those people farming stuff. Like right now over on Phantom Sonic, they are getting ready to do a massive airdrop. And what they're trying to do is reward people with the airdrop that have been in the protocols, in the actual DeFi apps, and actually engaging with the stuff. Not just for having the biggest wallet, but for actually having the most volume through the system effectively.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think this is less obvious to people who are new to crypto. They're coming into a time where the entire world, like, the attention is now on us, right? The attention is now on the space. You have your first crypto president. You like, all roads are clear here in the United States for clear, concise, fair crypto regulation, right? And the asset class, especially Bitcoin, is being adopted worldwide, right? That's amazing. But you also have to realize, like you pointed out, that the market is oversaturated with hundreds, millions of different coins, thousands, hundreds of thousands being created on a day-to-day basis, right? You can't just throw spaghetti at the wall anymore and expect things to go up. Like you're not a pioneer anymore, right? You're not with you're not with class zero, where when they entered the space, there was only a few dozen altcoins, right? And so people didn't have to compete as hard for market share of attention, but now you do, right? So if you don't stand out, number one, and number two, what you're doing, like you mentioned, right, you're giving out tokens to people as free airdrops, then you're asking for just constant sell pressure on your coin.
Absolutely.
Right. So as a founder, if you really want to have a chance, of doing well in this space, you really have to take a step back and reformulate how you present how you market your product, and two, your tokenomics, man. You really have to formulate your tokenomics, but you really have to scrutinize just exactly what percentage of that stuff goes to like public sale, what percentage of that stuff goes to the VCs, how much you're locking it up, right? Or are you just going to be like, you know what, the entire supply is out, and there's not going to be any token unlocks. Like make it a free entry for everybody, right? No VCs, nothing. Like you really have to reconsider how you approach these things, because the old way of doing it just doesn't work anymore. Or at least it's much less effective than it was when there were only a few dozen altcoins in the space. And that's just not a take on GameFi. That is on every other token founder, whatever niche of crypto you're trying to get into. All right.
That's very true. I think we're gonna see the evolution of utility. Originally, Bitcoin didn't really have any utility other than it was Bitcoin. You could transact with it. Ethereum's utility was the creation of the smart contracts. And then ever since then, everything else has been different kinds of utility, whether it's you're actually trying to have like some sort of project that you can like play with, like GameFi, whether you're trying to have some sort of lending protocol like Aave or all the forks of it, or if you're just trying to go to the more technical side of utility with something like over on Phantom originally, which was that they were designed to have faster throughput, lower data storage, and faster transactions and more transactions per block as well. So they were trying to tackle it from the tech side as opposed to like the use case side. I think we're going to start seeing more of that, and the absolute flood of meme coins, I think, is going to help solidify that as well, which is that unless you are doing something different, then you're probably better off actually just going and transacting on one of the larger, more established blockchains. But as we move into the future, I think we could see a fight over the next real chain to solidify itself is going to be one that is the most efficient to use on and also the most stable. And that marriage of the tech is going to be the new use case that I'm looking out for. That's why I'm personally really high on Phantom and now Sonic, because I know it sounds super nerdy being like, yes, they store data more efficiently. It means that the entire blockchain data fits on like an eighth of the size of a hard drive. It's like, cool. What does that mean? It means you using it, stuff goes through faster, fails less, and it's easier to run a validator because the hardware requirements are lower.
Yeah. And for the folks at home who may not be as nerdy about it as you are, let's do a simple example. What would you rather have? Be able to store 124 gigabytes of memory in your iPhone, or carry a floppy disk around? Which one would you have that can store how many megabytes, if that, worth of data? Right. Right. Would you rather your old PCs, right? They look like the classic TVs, right? With the big box behind it, or do you want like your light flat screen curved monitor monitors and your supercomputer that you just use for gaming, right? It's like it's a pretty simple answer, and that's what the L1s like Phantom are trying to accomplish.
It's true. The others, I guess the limiting factor here, instead of just trying to keep going down the always make it faster route, is it's the famous quote about in the 1800s, late 1800s, if you ask the carriage makers, the horse-drawn carriage makers, what they wanted, they would have told you we want faster horses, instead of realizing what they wanted was the Ford Model T. So sometimes it's like the Steve Jobs thing, which is like they kept telling him we want phones with buttons, and he's like, stop it, you don't want that. You're just saying that you do. And then instead he invented the iPhone, and people loved it way more. And eventually got rid of all the buttons.
Absolutely.
Well, except for like the 3 on the side. But outside of that, yeah.
Shout outs,
sir. And then we'll get to the charts, because charts be bleeding today. Let's be real here. All right. First, Moonpilled Rational Optics saying Degens assemble, and hit that like button. Folks, if you don't mind doing us the YouTube pleasantries, we would greatly appreciate it. So like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what your favorite pump.tire token you've seen out there is right now. I'm an old head, I guess I could say, even though I'm the youngest person on the team. But like one of my favorite memes is Old Greg, the old YouTube video. So I saw someone made a token of that, and I was like, glad to see they're doing all right. All right, up next we got Funkmaster Hex. He says, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Good evening to you, sir. Hope you're enjoying a fine beverage on a fine Sunday evening. I have the classic silver bullet going on myself. Up next, we got a Haas saying selling everything. Everything. There you go. We will talk about that. But you might be right. Yeah, this is a disaster. See you next bull run. See you in 4 years, boys. It was just disappointing this time. We'll just go right back into hibernation. We got our buddy Fox Mulder with the alien emoji on there as well. He says, avoid the noise, stick to the core RH coins. I would argue this has been the message that a lot of people have been trying to push and help promote for ever since like day 2 of Pulse Chain, because I think we talked about it even pre-launch, which is that there's going to be ratio trading, then we're going to get the bridge, and then we're going to see an influx of money, and then people are going to start looking around and be like, all right, what's next? So yeah, I mean, I know we're probably going to be talking about the Bitcoin to everything else ratio today, but it would be interesting to, in the future, take a look at the RH coins as opposed to other projects on there on the Pulse Chain ecosystem. I know PTGC has actually been ripping pretty good lately and pretty consistently too. So shout out to those boys. I think they have a good, solid project over there, and I think they've been doing some good work, and they're being rewarded for it. So hats off to you boys. We got Russ coming in saying, oui, degenerate.
American.
Yes. Got my Degens in Paris thumbnail idea.
Bro.
This, for the people that caught, I think it was either our anime stream or it was the cooking show where we had a quick meta conversation about the different thumbnails. No, this is last week's show on last Sunday. And it was like, if it is a professional looking thumbnail, it's probably our producer who put it together. If it is a weird reference of some kind or like just like a meme recreated, it's probably me. Yeah. I thought I had a decent idea referencing the Kanye song N-words in Paris, but no one's gotten it so far except for you. So, well, kind of just French stuff. So hard to argue with that. Up next, we got Brendan, one of our own boys. Hope you're feeling all right, my man. He says, let's go, boys. Let's go, DRT. Moonpill Rational Optics came in again. He said, fire sale going on, buy everything. Very different from Haas. He's saying selling everything, but Moonpill, he sees blood in the streets and says, ooh, it's for sale, baby.
Jim Cramer. You see that meme with Jim Cramer saying sell everything? Moonpill just got the opposite opinion here.
Attaboy. There you go. Up next, we got our favorite cheerleader in the space, Tam Tam, saying, what up, fam? Good to see you, Tam Tam. Hope you are doing very, very well out there. And we got Hex Glenn coming in saying, hey, Degens, good to see you, Hex Glenn.
What up, buddy?
And then one more person sliding in right at the last minute. Jack Koff, PvP AF right now. Y'all are cooked.
Clever handle. Well, my friend, I don't know if anybody told you the news, but crypto is PvP. Don't believe the story of we're all going to make it, because there's enough money for everybody, but not everybody wants it.
It's true.
That's the unfortunate reality, man.
Reminds me of that one clip that came out this last cycle of the bald tan dude talking about the Federal Reserve. He goes, "There's an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. We'll be all right."
Infinite amount of money at the Federal Reserve. An infinite
Everyone saw that and said, "What? What?" That's
Yeah.
not as good as you think it sounds.
And that's a shame, bro, because there is enough money here for everybody, but my goodness, people are so fucking lazy, man.
A little bit, yeah.
And they complain why they're broke.
Eh. Crypto's absolutely PvP. At the same time, though, if you're trying to community build, you also do still have to run the narrative that it's not PvP, and that everyone can work together, which you can, but at the end of the day, understand that if you start turning the knives on each other, the friendly fire is engaged. Absolutely.
Yep.
So just work with the people you trust. Don't do that stuff. Alrighty, Jay, what do you want to start with? We can do market analysis. We can do a nice clip from the Federal Reserve. We got a lot of options tonight.
Let's do TA, man.
Let's do TA. All right, fired up, big dog.
Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen here. Let's start off with Bitcoin. Jeez Louise. A lot of stuff happened over the past 48 hours. So we're going to start with the 60-day cycle analysis for Bitcoin. As it currently stands, like I mentioned earlier, we're still leading bullish. And the reason why is because we did take the all-time high. All right, which means we had a right translated 70-day cycle here, even though we did have an early day 43 high for Bitcoin. All right, very uncommon for a cycle as long as we had for the last one, right? However, because we did take the all-time high with accompanying volume, with bullish market structure, there's a reason why I am leaning bullish, despite the fact that we are getting a bit of a correction here, and well within reasonable bounds. Okay, so if we do get a right translated cycle, then you're looking for a high past 30 and for this cycle to extend all the way up until I believe the middle of March, right? Let's see. Let's extend the 60-day cycle all the way up to day 60, and that puts you at, I think, the 14th of March. So just after the second week of March, right? We would be looking for a new high anywhere past day 30, probably around day 45 to 50 plus before coming into a cycle low in your day 60. If we get a left translated cycle, well, at the earliest, we're probably looking for a cycle low sometime around day 40 at the earliest. 45 is probably the more reasonable time frame to expect a cycle low. And then for the left translated cycle to terminate, usually earlier than the average of 60 days, probably around day 50 or so. But as it stands, because we got the bullish market structure along with accompanying volume, then the bulls still have bears remain in control of the market. Sorry, the bulls remain in control of the market, and this is their 60-day cycle to lose. Now let's go over some stuff in terms of trend and in terms of price. Go down to the 4-hour chart. Right? For the bullish scenario, you have a wave 1 in. The question is your 2 already in? You have a few scenarios here for the wave 2. Number 1, you could have a WXY and you're looking for your wave Y to finish, right? You have a flat in your W, you have a B, C, D, E triangle in your X, and you have a 3, 3. We're looking for a 5-wave sequence to the downside here to complete a flat. However, as it stands, because we are getting more negative price action on today's chart, the probability is that this is actually a flat because you would be looking for a regular flat, not an expanding or a running flat. Your wave Y here, which would be your C wave of the flat, is already way past the common extensions for what a regular flat would be. So this is actually a lower probability scenario. All right, next scenario is a WXY triple combo sideways movement, right? It is a rare, right? This is a rare structure. However, because we are getting a very extended sideways move and right, the counts fit, it is certainly something that we have to consider, right? We got a flat in your W, same triangle in X, flat in Y, zigzag in X, and now we are looking for the final zigzag in Z. Right. The question is the low in? And if the low is in, then we are looking for price to move to the upside for your wave 3 and then for And then finally 5, probably sometime in Q4 of this year for the end of your bull market. Price targets to the downside for the bears. Very simple. Take a fib retracement from the start of your wave 1 to the end of your wave 1, right there. And your common fibs, you can see we've already hit, right? Between the 0.5 and the 0.786 fib, we are now currently sitting at the golden pocket, looking like we're finding support there. This move can go all the way down into the 786 and beyond at around 92,513, and we will still maintain bullish market structure. What the bulls do not want to happen is to hit your last bullish invalidation at the 886, right? That's 90,933. If the 886 is touched, then we will have to consider the alternative counts and the bears once again take control of the market. Now, the bears do have some work to do, but we have labor market data coming in next week on top of the stuff that's been going on over the weekend. So if that labor market data comes in bearish, well, the bears suddenly have much more momentum to take this 886 level, right? But we'll get there if we get there. As it stands, market structure, the bullish market structure is still healthy, right? If this is the end of your wave 2, your price targets to the upside are as follows. Let's just, 1 second here. Let me adjust the fib extension. Your price targets for the bulls for the next leg up is between a minimum of the 1 fib extension taken from the start to the end of your wave 1 to the end of your wave 2, which gives you 113,458 minimum. And then the next level for the extension is the 1.618 at 126,524, right? Minimum 113. Next fib up 126.5K. In terms of time, we spoke about this a few times over the course of the last week in the Telegram exclusive content, right? Which we also do live. Your wave 2 is now beyond the 2 fib time, right? Your fib time here is taken from the start to the end of your wave 1, comparing the length of your wave 1 to your wave 2. Now, if this was a simple corrective structure, like a zigzag, which we usually expect in a wave 2, then I would say that the probabilities of wave 2 extending beyond the 2 fib time is unlikely because you're getting a simple correction. Usually those are short, sweet, and steep. However, because we are range bound in a sideways complex structure, then it is not unlikely that you get an extended wave 2 in terms of time. Okay, which is why this is okay. Now, the question for the bears and for the bulls is, do we have the low in? Is this low the low? Well, in order to do that, we have to get a bit more granular. Let's go down to the 15-minute chart to analyze the current market structure as it is developing. Where are my 15-minute time frames? Here we go. Yeah. First scenario, right? We covered this on the 4-hour. W, triangle and X, and now you're looking for a 3, 3, 5 wave to the downside in your Y, which would complete your correction. All right. However, as I mentioned, if you take a fib extension from the start to the end of that move, right, we're looking for a flat, which means we are looking for the final C wave of your flat, right? Your A, from the start to the end of your A, the fib extension is taken from the start to the end of your A to the end of your B. Your C wave, we are looking for a 5-wave sequence to the downside, right? And there's a few things that you have to contend with if you are trying to say that this is the end of your move, right? Number one, we have already extended beyond the 1.05 fib extension, right? And for a regular flat, this is where you would expect this move to happen. Now, if this was an expanding flat, it would be a different story, but we're playing with a regular flat. So this scenario now is much more unlikely. Also, in terms of structure, Right? If you're looking for a 5-wave move to the downside, where is your wave 4? Right? Now you could certainly count this as your wave 4. However, you're now having to play with a very extended wave 5, which is uncommon. Right? Usually you expect your wave 3 to be the most extended, right? So there's a few issues that you have to contend with if you're trying to say that this is the end of your move, right? You don't have a clear wave 4 in this structure. Right? And then finally, if you were playing with the more complex triple sideways combo, right? You come up with the same issue. Right? You can count an impulse here, 3-wave structure up, and then this is your next zigzag. But where's your 4? Right? All of this move here, these smaller impulses, right? They're impulsive in nature and not corrective. And so you have to contend with the fact that you don't have proper structure for a wave 4 as of yet, which means you don't have your wave 5 in either. Okay? So next week, right, market open is definitely going to tell us a lot. Now, I am happy to be wrong. Right? I would certainly be very happy if the wave 2 was already in, right? But you do have market structure to contend with, okay? However, unless we hit the bullish invalidation, that 886 that we spoke about earlier, then this bullish market structure is still intact, okay? So next week is definitely not the time where you want to stop paying attention to the markets. Now, as a final nod to the bulls, okay, let's go back here to the daily chart. I believe it was on the daily chart. Let's turn on our RSI. Was it here? Oh, it's also in the daily chart. Let's see in the weekly chart. It is both on the daily chart and on the weekly chart, which is fantastic. You folks would be familiar with bullish divergence, right? Bullish divergence is a lower low in price, and you're looking for a higher low in terms of a momentum indicator, in this case, the RSI. There is one other type of divergence that exists that we don't speak about frequently because it's much rarer, especially to see it on larger time frames, and that is hidden divergence, both bullish and bearish. What hidden divergence is as follows. In this case, you have a higher low in price, right? Higher low, clearly seen there. And what you have is a lower low in terms of your momentum. This is a very, very bullish divergence, right? Call it hidden bullish divergence. Not only do you see it on the daily chart, but it's even more pronounced on the weekly. Right? Higher low in terms of price, lower low in terms of your momentum. Hidden bullish divergence. And so not only do we have hidden bullish divergence, but we also have bullish market structure accompanied by volume. So yes, is the move down disheartening for altcoins? Yeah, absolutely. But as it stands, until we hit our invalidations, we maintain a bullish stance on the long term. Short term, bit of bearishness. Long term, the 4-year cycle is still well intact. That's what I got for Bitcoin Z.
Fair enough. I was looking at some of the different RSIs as well. If you actually go to the 1-hour chart, it's a slightly different story. So back on the 27th of January, it went deep into the oversold territory. But where we're at today right now, we're actually sitting just a hair right at that line, or a hair above it, above the oversold territory, even though the price is lower, which is it's an interesting one for that one. But as soon as you get out of the 1-hour chart and you go to the 4-hour chart, it's different. We're actually in the oversold territory pretty heavily, and the January 27th move I talked about just barely got into the oversold territory. And then even on the daily, still our RSIs are on like 37 right now, and the oversold territory starts at 30. So it is technically lower on the RSI from the daily, but on the daily, it's still not in that oversold territory. So theoretically, there could still be some more downside possible. And one of the Fibonacci levels that you pointed out there was the 1.618 level. And that I saw you pull that up. And I actually was already trying to look at different support levels I could try to find on the 1 hour chart I was looking at. And I was like, high 91,000s. Your 1.618 level was like 92.1. It was like, okay, that might line up pretty well, actually. So
Yeah.
it's a bummer. We're, again, well below the 20 and 50-day moving averages. But at the same time, though, we're still well above the 200-day moving average, which I'm still happy to see, considering, like, we spent a good, like, 3 months below that earlier, all the way from, like, July through October, effectively. And that was kind of disheartening to see, to be honest, just because we were, like, supposed to be in the bull run. But yeah, as of right now, is it a dip? Yeah. Is it a crash? I wouldn't go as far to call it that.
No.
Unless, to invalidate the current 60-day cycle we're on, we'd have to drop all the way back down below 90K, which I know I just said that like the 92K target is somewhere that's possible. But at the same time, I think to see a failed cycle would be an anomaly, to say the least, especially considering we had one back in August of 2024. And stuff like that, that just screams to me that that is too close together. The frequency of that happening is much higher than the actual probability that it should be happening at, which leads me to believe that there's probably just an error in the way that we're counting cycles. And remember, we had a big question earlier about where did the 60-day cycle count start for this one? And we only recently got that final validation of it on the 13th of January, when we also had a potential candidate for the 30th of December. So theoretically, if we do break down below that cycle low, this could be a down cycle. And that first cycle that we talked, the first cycle candidate that we talked about back December 30th of last year, that could actually be the start of that cycle if we have a down cycle. Granted, I think the probability of that is very, very, very low, considering based on the macro 4-year cycle where we're at right now, which is that like crypto is hot and it should be getting even hotter to the point where it's like you can't believe how stupid hot it is later on in the year. So to see something like that, in my personal opinion, is very, 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 very improbable.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
And hey, man, look, if it's time to flip bearish, we will flip bearish. But as it stands, unless my invalidations are hit, right? If the 886 is hit, the chances of us sweeping the $89,000 low, very high, right? Very high. The 886 is undefeated. I'm sure you could find a point in time when the 886 was hit, and it didn't turn out to sweep the low or to knock out the high. But I would go as far as to say that either your count is wrong and you pulled the fibs wrong than the 886 actually being invalidated, right? That's more likely, is you as an analyst made an error, right? And so unless that invalidation is hit, bullish market structure, hidden bullish divergence, volume accompanying the move to the all-time highs, I'm bullish long-term.
It's funny you say that because I have a Telegram channel for crypto updates that just keeps dinging every time and Bitcoin hits a new 1,000 lower. So it's like when you started your TA, it was at 95, and I just got the alert that we touched 94. It's like, ugh. One chart I do want to, we can, but I do want to, it'll be a good segue into Ethereum. I want to talk about Bitcoin dominance. So
yeah, we hit 60 again.
Yeah.
Oh God.
We didn't quite make a new high for this run, but like we got pretty darn close. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's right there. So we got all the way back up to 61 and some change. We didn't quite hit 61 and a half like the previous high that we had back in November. This is a weekly chart, by the way. Daily just looks a little more messy, but actually, if you discount this one wick, we are higher now than we were on average back in November. Interesting.
Yeah, man. What do we say about Bitcoin dominance? Do not fade Bitcoin dominance, man. Bitcoin is the king. The alts will bow down to the king. I don't care what your favorite fucking streamer says. Altcoins will bow down to the king. And unless proven otherwise, since inception, since every single coin's inception, Bitcoin has dominated 3 out of the 4 years of the 4-year cycle. So if this is your new cycle, let this be a lesson to you. If you were holding predominantly altcoins since the very beginning of the 4-year cycle, now you know what that pain is like. So yeah, do not fade the dominance chart, man.
That's true. That's true. Alrighty, let's go talk about good old Ethereum. The one that gave me hope and quickly taking it away. However, at the same time, it's not like we're all the way back down at $2,200, which I'm not saying it's not impossible. But
It's certainly possible.
But I'm trying to laugh instead of cry here because you were the chosen one. You were supposed to. I will say I did get shout out to Charlie of Cultivate Crypto. He did talk me off a bit of a ledge when I was in Vegas because I was talking to him, and I was like, yeah. So I was like posing the idea. I was like, hear me out. What if Solana actually overtakes Ethereum, or even XRP overtakes Ethereum by market cap? He goes, back in the day, people were saying the same thing about Ethereum. They're like, oh, Ethereum's going to flip Bitcoin. Ethereum's going to do it. We're getting close. And it just never, ever happened, no matter how much people talked about it. So what are the odds that Ethereum is actually going to flip Bitcoin? Or that like Solana or XRP is going to flip Ethereum? He's like, yeah, the answer is like very, very, very
low.
Unlikely.
It's low.
It's super, super low. Despite all the hype, all the stuff going on, it's like, yeah.
In market cap.
Happen.
In market cap.
For sure.
But Solana has
sure.
definitely been outpacing the hell out of Ethereum this entire 4-year cycle. So
that's true. Ugh, Ethereum has just lost like another $1,000 since the time that I've been talking about it.
You want me to give you something a bit more to get bullish on Ethereum about?
Yeah, hit me. I need the hopium.
Okay, here we go. I mean, this ain't hopium, man. You know me. I try to be as objective as possible with my analysis. So this ain't just hopium. Give me a second here. Excuse me. All right. Let's switch over to ETHUSD. Now, you guys know that I don't usually go over ETHUSD because I care more about the ETH Bitcoin ratio. However, gonna throw the folks here a little bit of a bone. So, so.
Thank you, Moonpilled. Appreciate you.
First, let's go over the 60-day cycles for Ethereum, right? Here's one of the rare times where Ethereum is actually not in lockstep with Bitcoin when it comes to the 60-day cycles, right? Right now, Ethereum is on a bit of a, let's just say, 60-cycle discovery, right? Just like we had for Bitcoin last cycle, we now have 2 alternate counts for Ethereum. Give the bears their due. The bearish count is your day 42 high from last cycle doesn't change. The bearish count is you have a right translated day 70 count here, right? You have a high on day 5. And now what just happened? What happened on yesterday's candle is we just swept that low, which means if you were bearish Ethereum, you are looking at a rollover into a left translated 60-day cycle for Ethereum, which means even though Bitcoin has the opportunity to make new all-time highs and have a right translated cycle, because Ethereum swept the low here, we are looking for lower lows for Ethereum all the way up until the 13th of March. Not good, but you give the bears their due. Now, we don't necessarily have a bullish count. We have a neutral count. Again, day 42 high still remains the same, but instead you have your wick here, all right? You would count that as the end of your last cycle, right translated 46-day cycle, a high on day 17, and you have a left translated cycle for Ethereum, currently on number 45, right? Because we just swept the lows once again. Is the low in? Who knows, right? You could keep bleeding all the way up until day 50, but at the very minimum, if this is the correct cycle count, then just like with Bitcoin, at the very minimum, you open up the interpretation for the rest of Q1, which means Q1 could either be a right translated cycle or it could be a left translated cycle. At the very minimum, you open up the interpretation as opposed to the bearish count, which means you roll over into lower prices all the way up until the middle of March. Not good, right? Price and trend. Here is the count as follows for the bulls, right? You have a 1 in a 2 looking to come in, and your price targets for your wave 2 are as follows, right? We hit the minimum already, the 0.5. The next common levels are the 618. We were actually hovering there as support earlier before we started coming down. Ethereum can go as low, back down as low as 2,469. But the same with Bitcoin. If you hit the 886 at $2,314, expect lower prices. The 886 is undefeated. Okay. So Ethereum can certainly still go down lower as long as you don't hit your bullish invalidation, which is your 886. You are totally fine. Bearish scenario. Right? W, right? Zigzag and W, zigzag and X, and you're looking for another potential zigzag. A 5-wave sequence to the downside, right? And a flat, right? Because a 3, you're looking for a 5-wave move to the downside for your Y, which will give you a flat, right? Price targets, trend-based fib extension taken from the start to the end of your W to the end of your X. And that gives you a minimum target of the 1.05 fib extension at $2,100 to as low as the 1.236 to the 1.382 fib extension, which brings you back down to anywhere between $1,850 to $1,700 Ethereum. This scenario, boys and girls, is what Ben Cohen would refer to as the Ethereum price going home. Right? And that would basically complete his bearish scenario for Ethereum that he's been speaking about for basically the entire 4-year cycle. Right? This is what you get. Now, some hopium for the people who are bullish on Ethereum. Remember the 886 invalidation to the downside? Well, there are also 886 invalidations to the upside. In this case, a bearish invalidation. You know what happened here? What does that look like? It looks like to me that when you take a swing high, when you take a fib retracement from your all-time high here, that's your swing high, to your bear market low, right? When Ethereum made this move up, you did hit the 886, which means what? Sooner rather than later, Ethereum is more than likely going to make new all-time highs. I know that it doesn't seem very likely at the moment, especially with how weak the chart is, with how weak the ETH Bitcoin valuation has been, with how pitiful the gains have been for Ethereum over this last 3 years. However, you cannot deny that the 886 was hit. Okay. And we don't change the rules just because we're going up or we're going down. The 886 is hit, which means on a balance of probabilities, the likelihood that Ethereum makes a new all-time high, whether that's just beyond the prior all-time high or it goes upwards to the minimum target that we're looking for, right? The $14,000 target for Ethereum, which is the 1.618 fib retracement, is very likely. Not 14,000, but at least new all-time highs. Okay, let me make that perfectly clear. Because we hit the 886, the likelihood of Ethereum making a new all-time high is very, very, very good. Okay, so there's a little bit of hopium for you guys. Lastly, ETH Bitcoin. ETH Bitcoin, even though the USD chart is still bleeding, ETH Bitcoin is showing some signs of life. Now, fair, you did sweep the lows again. We made a new low in the ETH Bitcoin ratio.
That was a hell of a statement. They're like, oh, yes, this chart is showing a sign of life. Zenith looks at it. It's like, that looks down to the right. What is... Let's land the plane here.
Yes. It did sweep the low. To be fair, it did sweep the low. However, just like with Bitcoin, we are getting bullish divergence on the chart, right? Lower low on the ratio, higher low on momentum, in this case, the RSI. So you have some bullish divergence on Ethereum, on the daily. More importantly, when you go to the weekly chart, the bullish divergence is even more pronounced, right? Lower low on the ratio, higher low on the weekly RSI. And look at where we are in oversold territory, gang. Okay? So I'm not saying that you have to rotate your entire stack of Bitcoin to Ethereum. What I am saying is, given the timeline, given the divergence, right, on both the daily and the weekly, it is not unreasonable. Oh, also the 886, right, again, on the US dollar valuation, it wouldn't be unreasonable if you were maybe to increase risk exposure to Ethereum, right? I wouldn't turn my nose at that move. If you want a little bit more stability in the RSI and you don't mind buying at a little bit higher prices, that's also fair. But Ethereum is showing some strength, so let's give it some credit.
Dude, do you keep the side tab open on your this guy? Do you keep this tab open on your screen?
Yes, I do, because that's where all my folders are. I if you see my chart is very, very, very clean.
I mean, I have it.
Yeah.
I usually just have it as my watch list, and I just kind of watch it like stock tickers.
Oh, yeah,
Dear
me too.
God, what is going on? I think I just saw Bitcoin hit 92K.
Let's see what's going on. 93. Let's see what the low was.
I see
What was the low
92.1. I'm seeing
All right.
92.1.
92.
Everything else is going kind of ballistic right now, though. I saw a bunch of tokens just tick into the negative 20% on the day, which started 57 minutes ago.
Yep. Yeah, the Chinese market opened. The Chinese market, the Asian market opened half an hour after we streamed. Thank you for Sniper for letting us know that. So yeah, they're certainly taking advantage. They might be front running what the news might be tomorrow.
Could be.
Right.
But like, look at this one. Even the darling of the market, Sui, just went down and touched the 200 daily moving average.
Yeah. I knew Sui was due for a very, very, very big pullback, right? Which is why I held on my DCA for Sui. I was like, this chart is at the termination of its impulse, and it looked like the start of a like strong wave one. So I was like, okay, let's hold off on Sui. It's probably going to give me a better opportunity, and it looks like it did. So
even stuff like Cardano, big dip going right through our previous high. AVAX dipping, still some more to go.
Yep.
Crow token. This is the crypto.com token, notably. I think this is an interesting one. Dogecoin is going all the way back right down to our previous high in April.
Yeah.
Outside of that, though, I mean, shoot, like touch that 200 daily moving average again.
Yep.
And gosh, everything is just going right now. DOT down, Ethereum. Fetch was also just having a bad day because the Chinese were eating their lunch earlier. Phantom is even down. This is on the daily, 16% in the last hour, effectively.
Yep. It is a bloodbath. It is a bloodbath.
Like I cannot remember the last time I saw all of my watch list in negative double digits.
Yep. It's not a good time for the alts, man. However, unless my bullish invalidations are hit.
Oh, Jay, look at that. Bitcoin dominance, 62, almost 63. Nope, we did hit 63.
A new all-time high for dominance.
While we're on stream. Wild stuff. Oh my gosh.
Well, sorry, not all-time high. A new 4-year cycle high for dominance.
Yeah, the trend is strong. Let's just say that.
That's insane. That's crazy to me, bro.
Oh my gosh. Ethereum hit 24.
There you go. Well, what was my invalidation for Ethereum? Give me a second. What was my invalidation for Ethereum? Let's see. What is the invalidation for Ethereum, folks? Did we just hit it?
Might have. By the way, shout out to RH Max. Great stream earlier, my man. I caught a good bit of it, so always a pleasure to see you, man.
No. 2314.7 is my invalidation for Ethereum. All right. If we hit that number, then we look for lower prices. As it stands, the bulls really have to come and defend, man. The bulls have to show up tomorrow. I mean, the bulls have to show up now. If you let the Asian markets bleed the way that they're bleeding right now, and the bulls don't step in, boy, man, I tell you, man, if it's time to flip bearish, I'm gonna flip bearish, man. I'm an equal opportunity analyst.
Oh yeah.
Set your
Moonpill,
stop losses.
I'm right there with you, man.
Set your stop losses, gang. My man.
Trying to think about. Everything is down so hard. I'm genuinely contemplating what I want to DCA into a little bit.
Oh, I know what I'm going to buy tomorrow.
What are you buying? You buying Sui?
I'm buying Sui. I'm buying more Aerodrome. And
What's the aerodrome ticker?
Arrow. There you go, Arrow USD.
It's not too bad actually.
Well, I mean, compared to everything else.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm definitely buying more Aerodrome. That is for sure.
Dude, Aerodrome had that local high of $2.33 all the way down. Ooh, keep going. We're at 77 right now.
Yep.
Jeez, this is wild, man.
Yep.
Even some of the meme coin plays like Pepe, it's not quite doing as much. Doge is interesting based on the shape of the chart for me, just because it's such a drastic drop off, and we're gonna go test this support level and see if it actually holds. And then the Trump coin, obviously it's very, very new, but it is continuing just to make new lower lows. And I'm curious to see where it actually falls. Interesting. This is the 1 hour chart. We had a massive oversold event.
Z, your mic is super choppy.
Thank you. Just had to do a quick reset.
There we go.
Yeah, even I know the Trump coin is still super new, but like, my God, like super oversold here on Saturday night, and then now the price is so much further, but it just ticked into that oversold area.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting stuff going on here. This is a hell of a time to be alive, boys.
Oh my goodness, this is crazy, right? What do we say about sideways consolidation movements, right? They are liquidity grabs. They are liquidity grabs. Liquidity grabs for the market makers, man. Prices moving sideways, right? Getting faked out at all-time highs, coming back down to the bottom of the range, going back up to all-time highs, teasing everybody, man. That's what market makers do.
This is crazy.
Yep.
This is genuinely crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the question is this, I mean, it's what we talked about earlier. Is this the end of it, or do we keep dipping?
Until my invalidations are hit, Z, I remain a bullish stance. Stick to the plan, man.
I know.
I stick to the plan.
I know. I asked that question though because Moonpill has really got me thinking about this now, which is like, all right, if there was a time to maybe get it in there a little bit, it's hard to say that now's not a good one.
Yeah, dude, man, that's like one of the lessons that I've learned, especially in range bound markets, is I don't make any significant moves unless I'm at the bottom of the range, especially if it's a very obvious range bound market, right? We've had 1, 2, 3, I think 4 major range bound moments in this 4-year cycle, right? Are you on Bitcoin? Can you zoom out to the weekly chart?
That is a terrible chart. Stand by.
Hold on. Let me just share mine, Z.
It's all my 60-day cycle counts. They don't look so good on the weekly.
Yeah. Yeah, let's go zoom out on the weekly chart. Yeah. And you can count how many times we've been range bound for the predominance of this 4-year cycle, right? We got one there.
Here's 2021.
Yeah. No. This 4-year cycle. So 2020, let's go start 2023.
Start of 2023. That's going to be right here.
Middle. See that range right there? Yep. Your wave 2 range. Now go up to middle of 2024 range, right? And then now, right, close to the end of 2024 and then early 2025, we are once again range bound. This has been a bull market with some very painful ranges for retail, man. They shared with us a few days ago the chart of the amount of Bitcoin that retail has been holding versus the amount of Bitcoin that that the asset managers have been accumulating. Oh my goodness, dude, it is in stark contrast. Retail, TradFi, right? Retail, TradFi. Retail
TradFi's just blowing retail out of the water right now.
Okay, being range bound is not good for retail, bro. This is how people get footed out. This is when they capitulate.
I believe it. Yeah. That makes sense. Gosh, man.
To be in 3 range bound periods of this length, oh, dude.
I guess we could say that our range bound time. Where do you want to call the start? Beginning of November or like here at the end of November? Like this first low or when we first get into it?
I would say after the local high there.
Right here? Okay, so that's the 22nd. So 22nd of November all the way to the 3rd of February. That is 3 full months.
Yep.
I mean, granted, that's only like a cycle and a half of 60-day cycles, which not a ton, but at the same time, it's definitely noticeable. And the way that that the last cycle was acting really makes it extra noticeable because we had some fake outs for cycle lows, and then we had our one big cycle low here down in January. And then now, again, if we continue to flirt with those lows on the lower side, and we really haven't made, we really had one all-time high, and then we had a second one here in later January. So just the way that it's shaping out right now really shows that, like, yeah, this could be a range-bound thing. But I guess the question is, like, what happens if we just chop sideways for another, like, 2 months?
People will do what they always do. They will capitulate.
Yeah.
And I will buy their bags.
Happily.
Look, man, I know what the long-term goal is, man. The long-term goal is, like, fiat is dying. I'm going to buy Bitcoin.
That's true. Shout out to Professor over at Swing Trade Pros. I still remember talking with him. He's like, yeah, I really only care about Bitcoin. Anytime I like reaccumulate, it just all goes right back into the Bitcoin stack that I am never, ever, ever selling.
Yep. You know, it's funny. At the very beginning of my crypto journey, I had a client and two very good friends of mine who were all in fitness. I had no idea they were crypto bros. Well, when they found out that I was in crypto, they were like, "How much Bitcoin do you hold?" And I was like, 0. They're like, "What? What do you mean 0?" And at the time, I didn't know any better. Because I got honey dicked into the promise of altcoins. But then you spend a little bit of time, right, doing your due diligence, really studying market cycle theory, and just exactly how dominant Bitcoin is, especially like right now when the main focus is on Bitcoin. I was like, this is what the maxis talk about, right? I'm not a maxi by any stretch. I'm a capital preservation maxi. I'm a capital appreciation maxi, right? So I'm gonna make money where I can make money, but like, you cannot underscore just exactly why it's so important to be Bitcoin heavy most of the time.
That's definitely something I've learned from this cycle in particular. I personally have been Ethereum heavy most of this time, just kind of believing that Ethereum's time in the sun was going to come. And look, I had a great opportunity to buy Ethereum down at like 1,500, 1,600, 1,800 level, even around 2,000. I remember it was like hemming and hawing over it. But hindsight's 2020 on that one. It's like, yeah, that was still good prices for that. Granted, Ethereum has not done as many X's as Bitcoin has. It's
at least there's a saving grace here. At least you were in the altcoin, which means even though you didn't make as much money, you're still up. Can't say the same for the rest of these fucking altcoins, man. Right? Any altcoin not named Ethereum and Solana, right? Unless you were buying at the very bottom.
Speak of the devil, how are we doing on that, boy?
Solana's holding up a lot better. Right? Back down at like the mid 180s. A low at 180. Yeah.
Solana for a long time there was the epitome of a trading range, which was ever since we had the high in March of 2024, it was very, very particular about this trading range. Similar to Bitcoin, a little more flat, but very similar movements, because we really stuck around between, let's see, it was that like 205 level, and I want to say like 120. Yeah, shoot, I remember this one right here. I think it was one of these where I was literally, it was somewhere around there. I was literally at a spa, and then I saw the Agent J alarm, the bat signal in the sky of emergency telegram stream. So I'm sitting in a bathrobe in a spa, and I hopped on there to talk with you about this. And I'm like, person I was with was like, hey, the massage person's asking about you. Where are you at? And I was like, give me a sec. I'm on a call.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh, do we hit something?
Ethereum hit the 886.
All right.
And-
Bull run's over, gang. See you guys later.
Hold on. In the same moment that it hit the 886, it swept the low.
Jesus, what? I look
86 is
away.
886 is undefeated, man.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, we just hit the $2,120 Ethereum.
So
What was it the last time we did this kind of stream? I'm pretty sure it was you, me, and Will, and we watched literally this happen.
Yep.
I remember that one. We were live for it.
Yep. So we
My
just
God.
swept the well, it was supposed to be the bullish count, right? So let me share my screen here real quick, Z.
Dude, I'm about to call up the Italians and be like, dude, one more time. I swear.
Here we go. So let me get out all of this. Get this out. Okay, so here's what Ethereum just did. It swept this low. So technically speaking, right, the 886 makes it higher probability that you sweep the low, which we already did. So that means that the low could be in, right? And I'm not sure. It probably did on some charts, but so we didn't sweep this low back here in August, right? This was like the because North Korea bought this wick here. This was on the 5th of August. So we didn't take this low. But that's not important. The only important thing to consider is that we swept this low, right? Which we did. So technically speaking, this could be the end of your correction. However, it'll be interesting to see what the market does tomorrow when the U.S. markets open, right? Because, well, you're Jesus. That is not that was not good for Ethereum.
No. I mean, honestly, none of this is great for that bull theory you put out there.
Oh no,
I mean,
that's still possible.
I think the only
This
saving
one?
grace right now is that Bitcoin didn't do anything as stupid as that. I mean, we hit 91.5 on Bitcoin, but
Like this cycle low here, Z. This could still, like, we could keep looking for cycle lows, right? But this 60-day cycle count is still valid, right? So you could still have the next 2 months or so open for interpretation for Ethereum, right? So this is still good. However, you cannot ignore that as it stands, your bearish count, right? Your bearish count is getting stronger and stronger, right? But we're stuck in limbo right now for Ethereum. Like we really are. We really are. It's we're in the same position now that we were in when the ending for the 60-day cycle was unknown for Bitcoin, right? Earlier this month. So Ethereum is now stuck in that place, right? Ethereum has now decorrelated in terms of the cycle count with Bitcoin. So yet to be determined, but that's really going to be up to the bulls. If they want to step in and defend the price, man.
I don't know if it's accurate or not, or if it's just some sort of a crappy analogy, but I think there's a great irony that Tron is one of the coins that's down the least right now, and it's the China chain.
Of course.
Yeah, they're only down 8% as opposed to everyone else who Phantom down 20. I saw everybody down in like the negative 20s. Like, whoa, wow, what just
Phantom right now? Yeah.
what is up
that
with
wick?
these wicks, dude?
What you are on, because you're on Bitfinex, dude. Low
Is that
liquidity.
what that is?
Yeah.
Oh.
Look, let's take a look on Coinbase. See what the Coinbase chart is doing.
I got Kraken. Let's try that.
Kraken?
Okay, that looks more reasonable.
More reasonable, yeah. Look at Coinbase.
Check my Coinbase doesn't actually carry Phantom.
Oh yeah, you're right, huh?
Yeah.
You're right. Phantom is not on Coinbase yet. So yeah, Kraken would be the better. Yeah, like depending on which exchange you're looking at, like Bitfinex, lower liquidity, right? Not as much volume going there. You're gonna get those more aggressive wicks.
That's true. Hey, real quick, shout out to our boy,
My man.
Will Stevenson. He says aloha from shitty Wi-Fi Libertad, El Salvador. Will, get El Salvador to fix the Bitcoin price. We need them. Your only hope. Also like that smash button.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
My
Wow.
goodness,
Wow. Wow. Wow.
What a Sunday. What a Sunday this has been.
No. Will, the correct Borat meme here is the one where he's in the car with the guy, and the guy goes, "Oh, that's good, right?" He goes, "Is not good for me.
It's not good for me.
It's not good for me."
Oh boy, we got close to that 886, man.
On Bitcoin or what?
Yeah, we got close, bro. We didn't break 91K, but
Oh yeah, dude, I saw it. We hit 91.5.
yep.
Like, ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Although to shout out to Bradley here, I think he has the question of the hour though, which is that how quick of a likely recovery? Which is like, look, Bitcoin's already back up at 94. Like 5 minutes ago, it was at 91.5.
Yeah.
So the possibility of a quick recovery, I think, it's possible, but at the same time, like
Bradley, structure is more important. I don't care how fast the drop is, man, but if you don't have the structure to accompany like a bullish correction, sorry, bro. We were talking about structure earlier, right? When we were considering the bear scenario. Where's your wave 4? Right? It was just a straight drop down, which means you have no structure for a wave 4, which means you could still be in a wave 3 on the way down. Structure is important, man. So
shout out to Will again. He says he was just hanging out with the Bitcoiners, the only people who speak English down there.
Bro, I bet the
you
Bitcoin
just gotta work on that Spanglish, boy.
Dude, the Bitcoin maxi are having a time of their lives right now. They're like, ha 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 ha, told you so.
Well, I would argue it depends on what kind of a Bitcoiner you are. If you are a 4-year cycle Bitcoin, or if you're a 60-day cycle person, you're probably looking at this like we are, being like, did we mess up our count? Or overall, though, I think Bitcoin folks are looking at this and they're like, oh yes, Bitcoin only down like 4%. Everyone else down 20. Again, in an hour and 18 minutes. That's what we're talking about here. So, geez, oh my gosh.
So here's the thing, right? Obviously the moves are going to be a little bit more muted. However, it is also not uncommon for Bitcoin to drop anywhere between 20 to 30% January to early February of the post-halving year. We just got that move, right? We had an all-time high at about, close to 109K. And then we dropped all the way back down to around 91.5. That's almost a 20% move. So there's your correction, right? Timelines. That's why timelines are important. You don't ignore some of these things, right? Like the amount of repetitiveness that a market tends to go through, it might not exactly line up to the date, right? But the magnitude and the closeness of when they occur is certainly not something to be ignored, right? Look at all the post-halving years. Right, look at January and February of every single post-halving year, and you could see a correction anywhere between the 20 to 30% range for Bitcoin. We just got ours for this 4-year cycle.
Yeah, true. And this is wild. I started off the stream a little sad because I couldn't do my fun party games with the boys, but instead we have one of the most crazy streams that we've had in a while.
Yeah, this is like a bloodbath, bro. But I mean, I know, like, why are you guys like freaking like laughing and stuff when the market is dropping this way? It's because we have a plan. It's because we have plans, because we stick to the plans, right? And we have bullish and bearish scenarios.
Very true. Very, very true. Gosh, I mean, I'm gonna pull up. I wonder how our favorite laddies are doing. Well,
yeah, Hex, I think, probably dropped below penny again.
Yep, Hex is sub penny.
Yes, sir.
There you go, folks. There you go. We got, let me zoom in here. Hex down 21%. Incentive token down 18%. That's actually pretty low. PulseX also getting pretty low there again. Let's go take a look at these charts, actually.
Yeah, let's see if I don't think PulseX and Pulse and Incentive have broken market structure.
Pulse looks like it actually has broken through this support level and is moving towards a new lower low locally. well below our 20-day moving average.
You go Pulse X.
X. Pulse X actually looks like it still has it's right at that support level from our last low. And there's also another area here before we drop all the way down to all-time lows. Incentive token's not looking too hot.
Can we zoom out on the weekly there, Z? I want to see what the structure looks out on the weekly.
Yo, why don't I just go to Dex Screener? I think that's probably better than trying to do it through here.
Yeah, because Pulse X and Incentive, I'm pretty sure have maintained their bullish market structure, despite the dip, right?
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah. Unlike Pulse Chain and Hex, they did not make new lows. Yeah. So, Incentive and Pulse X are still your best looking charts.
Yeah, Incentive's looking pretty good.
Let's go
Sorry, Pulse X. I mean,
go Incentive. Yeah.
What are we doing, computer? Come on. I don't want to jinx it too much, but there'd be a beautiful irony if my computer blue screen mid-stream right now. That'd just be on theme.
Yeah, let's go weekly.
Weekly, baby.
Yeah, man. Incentive and Pulse X are right at the edge of their support levels, right? So, but it doesn't matter because Incentive and Pulse X did not break their bullish structure, right? They did not make new lows. So they're still your best looking and healthiest charts.
Hear me out.
Yeah.
What if I think the time frame is probably too messed up for it. But what if we actually drop a little bit lower? Would that still count as a wave one, or is this time frame just way too long?
Time is never an invalidation.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it does affect the probabilities, but time is never an invalidation.
That's true. I mean, I know it's very very tight in here, but theoretically you could do like a 1, 2.
Well, because you're in the weekly.
Yeah, that's true. But do like a wave 1, wave 2, or wait, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we have some sort of like correction, and then this would invalidate a wave 1 here. Then you'd just have to call this a wave 1.
Which means you're probably looking, so in this weekly chart, Z, that looks like a zigzag, right? Yeah. Because if you took a fib from that from that last local high, right, that swing high there, to your swing low in the middle of that, let's take a fib.
Fib retracement or trend based fib extension?
Retracement.
From where to where? So top to bottom, or bottom to top? From
your swing high? No. Swing high. A bit further back. There's your swing high there, and then you're right there. Yep. So what did we hit in terms of the retracement? Can we put that on log, please?
We are on log.
Your fib pulls. Let's put those on log.
How do I do that?
Right click settings, and scroll down. Oh wait, you didn't right click on the fib. You right click on the chart. There you go. Yep. Right click on there. Settings. Style. Go down. There we go.
Fib levels. Thank you. There you go. A little lesson for everybody out there.
So, all right. So we did not hit the 0.7. The 0.7 is it's not a hard invalidation, but it is a soft invalidation for your zigzag. We almost hit the golden pocket there on that retracement. So yeah, this is looking like a zigzag, which means if you want to get some price targets for incentive on the downside, since we are most likely going to make new local lows, you could take a fib extension from the very top of that swing high to your swing low, and then back to the top of your last swing high, and you can get some price targets there.
Fib extension?
So your fib extension is going to be from high to low to high. High to low to high. There we go. And also put those on log, and then we can get some price targets for incentive.
Let's do it.
So 1 for 1, that puts you, minimum is 1 for 1. What's that price there, Z?
That is this guy right here.
57 cents?
Yeah, 57 cents.
Yep. Now, that might be your 88. That might be close to your 886. I don't know. But a minimum for zigzags is the 1 for 1 fib extension. So let's just hope that sits above the 886.
Agreed. Very much agreed.
Otherwise, you're gonna look for new lows for incentive.
Yeah. Otherwise, Funkmaster Hex might be onto something here.
Nah. It might be for some. I'm not gonna lie, Funkmaster. It might be the end for some altcoins. Okay, like I don't make any bones about that. This is the cycle where some altcoins will go to die. Hopefully, it's not your altcoin.
Hey Jay, I wanna play a quick guessing game. What do you think the liquidations are right now? How many? What do you think the liquidations for 24 hours are
For Bitcoin?
Yeah,
I bet you they're sitting around 90,000.
Oh, I'm gonna guess 750 mil.
Oh! You meant that? I was talking about
Christ.
I was talking about
billion.
Yeah, I was talking about the strike prices.
Oh, sorry, no, I'm talking about total amount of money liquidated in the last 24 hours. $2 billion in longs got liquidated.
Yep.
Us.
Which makes sense because when we were going over the liquidation heat maps on over the last week, we knew that the longs significantly overpowered the shorts, right? In terms of percentage. So that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Remember, we had strike prices sitting at around 100,000 and cascading liquidations down, man. So
this, depending on how you count the time frame for it, the last 24 hours now theoretically could be the most liquidations that we've ever seen, ever.
Yeah,
because this right here is 1.5 bill and then like 480 million. This one's again. Oh, thank you. Guess what just popped up? My crypto news tracker. It said in the past 24 hours, 7 million traders were liquidated.
Sounds about right. Don't play with leverage, folks.
Yeah.
If you're playing with leverage, you better have a stop loss in place.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Dude, my mentor is
gosh.
he's a very good trader. And even he only plays with 1% of his portfolio and very tight stop losses.
That's wild. That's certifiably wild.
Yep.
All right, we got one more to talk about here. Let's go check out Hex.
Yeah, let's check out Hex.
Bada bing, bada boom. Ow. How we doing on the weekly?
Hex looks range bound.
You know? Yeah. All things considered.
So with any luck, right? Because I'm already looking at this in Elliott wave terms. I'm like, this can be corrective. Because we're on the weekly right now. That move up looks 3-wavy in nature, man. That looks corrective and not impulsive. So yeah. My Elliott wave side is like just immediately starts counting. But
I got it on the 24-hour scale though. This one was not nearly as bad as incentive token. I think incentive token was bleeding a little bit more just because of the launch of the pump.tire stuff, and I think that people were switching their meme coin, their Richard Hart meme coin play. Yeah. I think there's a legitimate argument for that, but like overall, jeez,
dude, I love how so many people in Pulse Chain just immediately flipped because the God King shared a link to pump.tires. Suddenly meme coins are okay, bro. I was like, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's not okay if Base does it. It's not okay if Solana does it. If not, it's not okay if memes are launched on Bitcoin. But it's okay if the God King says it's okay, right?
That's true.
It just rubs me the wrong way sometimes. It's like, you know, I try to be as objective as I possibly can, but I'm like, yo, like there are times where I'm like, yeah, a cult like nature is good because you get the support from the community. But I'm like, bro, it's like it's only okay if the God King says it's okay. Like, all right, man, whatever.
Yeah, this is. I personally don't know how I feel about this project just yet because it's so fresh and so new. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I'm of the opinion that I think the more stuff built on Pulse Chain, the better. But
same.
I was talking with RG3 about this in New York City. I was like, you know, theoretically, the more projects that there are on Pulse Chain, it means that there's going to be more there's going to be more spread, or there's going to be more bleeding from the core Richard Heart tokens, because people naturally are probably going to try to spread out their bags as opposed to keep injecting more liquidity. Obviously, people are going to keep injecting liquidity, I think, but at the same time, the argument still stands that there will be some amount of Richard Heart core tokens that are sold to buy the newer projects. And when you do that, what that means is that technically Hex is being sold. And remember, Hex is the thing that you need for T-shares. And what that means is that in the future, it only increases the rate at which T-shares, we lose the maximum possible amount of T-shares into the future. T-shares are depreciating at this point. They really are. And it's the part of the beautiful math behind the equation of time, cost per T-share, and also just the T-share, the cost of T-shares is the T-share rate effectively. But the total supply of T-shares is only going to go down in the future. And when you have other projects and people are selling core tokens for those other projects, it is destroying theoretical T-shares in the future, which means that T-shares are only going to be rarer and rarer in the future. So shout out to the Crispy Band, the guy that created hexfire.io. I was talking to him about this as well. It's like, yeah, the T-share game, it's going down. The supply goes down, which means that if you think about T-shares now, it's hard to be a whale in the ecosystem from a pure number of tokens standpoint. But if you want to be a T-share whale in, I don't know, the year 2040, where the current Quattro Cinco line is at, it's a lot easier than you really think about. And it's kind of crazy to think about.
Yep. Well, not really. Not if you understand the value proposition of Hex.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is the real nerdy stuff where you actually like look into the math and start doing the calculations and connecting the strings on the board and the newspaper clippings. And it's like,
bro, there's a reason why.
that.
I don't know about you, but I know me, I know Dace, I know Jeff, I know Will. We are heavy Hex. Because we understand the value proposition of Hex. We're also, I don't know about Will, but I know Jeff and Dace are staunch supporters of the Bitcoin the Hex dominance thesis. So
That's true. Hey, Jay, can you talk to the folks real quick? I need to go check on something.
Yeah, absolutely. What up, Cass? Let's see what we got going on the Bitcoin charts. Well, luckily, Bitcoin did not hit its 886. So let's go ahead and actually take a look at some of the other. Actually, you know what? We've spent so much time on the charts. Let's actually go and share. Cass, if you are there, and if you are backup producing, I'm sharing my X page here. So if you can bring that up. Oh, looks like Cass is not. Well, you know what? I'm just going to read my some of the bigger pieces of news that we came across today on X, aside from the very obvious stuff already. Right. Here's the thing that got me laughing earlier, right? So I read this post from Bitcoin News, and it said Sailor seems to have swapped this week's green dot chart, which has preceded the last 12 Monday Bitcoin purchases announcements, for a reminder to never sell. I don't. So like you want to talk about gross speculation and tinfoil hat theory and conspiracy theories. The fact that Sailor posted this, literally, when was this posted? This was posted 12 hours ago. So the fact that Sailor posted this 12 hours ago, replacing his usual, I'm going to buy more Bitcoin on Monday post, is kind of on the nose, isn't it? It's just a little bit on the nose. Because he says, never sell your Bitcoin. And I guarantee you right now, a lot of people are questioning selling their Bitcoin. So I just thought that was funny and a little bit on the nose for Michael Saylor. And actually kind of like, come on, dude. Z, can you pull up my screen? Here we go. I was just telling the folks how on the nose this was, right? Because 12 hours ago, Sailor...
Hey, can you zoom in on your browser?
Yeah, sure thing. So Sailor, 12 hours ago, posted this tweet, right, to never sell your Bitcoin 12 hours ago, which means, like, how on the nose is this? Because you could have said, well, now Bitcoin's getting a sell-off. And then he just happened to say 12 hours ago, never sell your Bitcoin. In place of, you know how like the past 12 weeks, every single Sunday evening, he's like, it seems like the Sailor tracker is missing a green dot. And then Monday we found out that he buys more Bitcoin. I was like, it's just kind of on the nose that he replaced that post with this post here to never sell your Bitcoin, preceding a large market sell-off in price, right? I just thought this was freaking hilarious. Even though I wouldn't be surprised if he posted again tomorrow that he bought more Bitcoin, because this is like a freaking 10% discount in less than 48 hours. So like, if you were going to accumulate more Bitcoin, this is kind of the time to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's either now or you wait till 2026.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. So I just thought that was pretty funny and on the nose.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I get we got to do the obligatory, folks. Nothing we say is financial advice. I know Jay and I are happy to talk about the things that we do. We're not telling you what to do, because that requires you to understand your own personal risk tolerance. And if you can handle stuff like this and what you do with that kind of stuff. But yeah, outside of that, please, folks, do your research. Understand you were the one pushing the green and red button. Jay, what else we got here?
Here we go. So remember how I spoke to you guys about every single post-halving year, it's not uncommon for Bitcoin to get a sell-off into January or February of the post-halving year? Well, here's a very good chart to take a look at that, right? You can see here in 2017, right? This is a post-halving year. We had a small sell-off. Same thing here, February of 2021, right? We had that large move up, sell-off into February. And now, 2025, right? Move up. And then it seems like history is repeating itself once again. Right? So
is that our others excluding top 10 chart?
Yep. Let me see. What is this? Yes. Mm-hmm. This is the others against Bitcoin. So this is the altcoin space below the top 10 valued against Bitcoin. Right? So you could see how this thing is looked every single time February comes around in the post-halving year. Right? You get a pump, you get a dip, and then skyrocket up. Same thing last cycle, right? You get a move up, you get a sell-off into February of the post-halving year, massive appreciation. So again, you only have basically 2 4-year cycles worth of data to consider, right? So technically you only have 2 data points, not a lot of data points to go by. This would get you thrown out if you were in academia. But you know, you take what we got, and what we got is 2 data points telling you that after February of the post-halving year, the altcoin space tends to go in a very parabolic run. So I'm just trying to give you guys some hopium here.
Oh, absolutely. I'll say this much. Are we catastrophizing a little bit, or are we just having a bit of a shock to a move that we're not expecting? Yes. At the same time, though, I think like Moonpill Rational Optics out here. Where's our boy at? Mm-hmm. Let's get him in here. Plan on getting more tomorrow. I think that's the attitude a lot of folks around these parts are having, which is that like whoa, this is moving to the downside. Yeah. Cool, let's go find some more dry powder.
Yeah. You know, the great thing about tomorrow is that everything that I want to buy is on Coinbase. So there's not a lot. Like, I don't got to deal with the fees, bro. I don't got to deal with gas. I don't got to deal about bridging. I don't got to deal. Man, say what you want about centralized exchanges, but it's it makes my life easier when I want to buy. Take it off immediately and self-custody though.
Oh geez. Speaking of Ethereum, gas fees are up to 171 GUI on average.
Yep. Yeah.
Sniper
tagged us in the chat earlier. He was like, "Yeah, check out GUI, bro." Yeah, he did.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, wild stuff. Wild times to be alive. The chart that I have pulled up right now, though, this is our crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin. We actually touched 1 trillion, like 1.00 trillion. I know it's a bit of a psychological thing, and obviously no one really pays attention to that number on this chart because this is like a deep in the weeds chart. But I do think that is an interesting data point to say the least.
Yeah. That's the thing, dude. This is not even into the weeds charts, bro. This is like, it's like such a simple chart to consider. It's not even in the weeds. You're like 1 trillion. Oh, that seems like a psychological number. That seems like a good area to buy.
Oh yeah. What's the crypto market cap?
Oh, let's see how much of a dip total market cap took.
Total market cap 2.8 trillion. So we're still real high up, not gonna lie.
So from 3.6 to 2.8, that's like what? 30 or so percent? It's not too bad.
Have the technology.
I think you put date. Oh no, you put price. Okay.
25-ish percent.
Yeah. So that's not too bad.
No, that's not too bad at all. It's a pretty decent correction, actually. I mean, also, if anything, that tells you that is a lot of that's a lot of the altcoins bleeding. Because if we go back over to Bitcoin, I want to say you are the highest number I can point to. That is a time. What am I doing? What are we doing here? Price. 17, yeah, or 16%. So Bitcoin lost 16%. Total market cap lost 25%. That means that, yeah, obviously the altcoins bleed a lot more because liquidity, they move further and harder and faster. So, dang, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, another thing. We got S&P 500 futures open 120 points lower as markets react to the beginning of a trade war.
Oh no, man! R.I.P. God, tomorrow is gonna be interesting, bro.
Do you remember when we had the carry trade stopped?
Yeah.
And we had the big issue with that, and then everybody and their mother was calling for Jerome Powell to do emergency rate cuts.
Yep.
You think we're gonna see that again?
This has less to do with rate cuts and more to do with the tariffs.
When I got up and I was checking on my stuff, I had a bit of a shower thought, if you will. I was like, hey, wait a minute. Now that I think about it, let's connect some dots here, which is that, Jay, what do markets and business like the most out of a economic environment?
They like certainty.
Yeah, stability. It seems that we definitely just rocked the boat when it comes to that. Oh gosh, I'm going to take a look at the VIX tomorrow and see what that's at, because I imagine that is going to be a big spike. For the folks at home, the VIX is the
70
traditional. It could be. It very well could be. That is the stability tracker for markets. It's not really like a stock you can trade, but it is a marker of stability. If you have stable markets, it's usually around like 20 to 30. Yeah, I would not be surprised if we saw it above like 50, 60 tomorrow. And you guys right to hit 70. Yeah, that's entirely possible. So
yeah, I think 70 during the carry trade, it was 70.
That sounds about right. Let's see. Let's do some investigation here.
Hey man,
volatility.
Look.
Yes, here is our carry trade. We got all the way up to 65.
Ooh, close enough.
Pretty darn close
enough.
For reference at home, this is the COVID dip. It got
all
the way
COVID,
up to 85 right here.
I figured that was COVID. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Jeez.
Things of that nature, bro. It's like when a country that has had their rates at negative for like a decade plus suddenly starts to go positive. Yeah, that'll scare some markets.
Oh, absolutely. It's the classic of the it might not seem like a lot, but going from 0 to 1 or 0 to anything is the highest percentage increase that you can get ever, because you're divided by 0 there.
That is correct.
Oh man. Jeez.
So tomorrow will definitely be interesting because, dude, like the unfortunate reality is when you take a look at the FOMC, we'll probably go over this tomorrow and walk the block. But like the FOMC was fairly dovish.
I thought it was kind of boring, to be honest. I thought it was like very middle of the road.
That's what you want boring. Yeah, you want boring from Jerome Powell.
The only spicy thing from Jerome Powell that I saw was him, like a bunch of people asking him about like Donald Trump statements, and he straight up is just like, I'm not going to comment on like other people. You can ask me about what we're doing, but I'm just not going to talk about them.
Yeah. It's funny because it's like people haven't learned their lesson. It's like Jerome Powell's going to give you the same answer, bro. If you ask him to comment on anything besides federal monetary policy, he's gonna say go kick rocks. Right? He's like, he's not stupid, bro. Like, stop trying to bait him because you're not gonna bait him. Right?
That's yeah.
Yeah.
I know we have taken our fair amount of pot shots at government employees, such as Gary Gensler, over our time here at Degen Roundtable. But on average, though, I think a lot of us have been pretty happy with Jerome Powell because despite everything, he's been pretty stable. I think the one largest, most valid criticism, which is still like huge block of salt to take with it, is that theoretically he cut rates to help the Biden administration during election time. But it's like a lot of that stuff was kind of telegraphed as well. The timing was slightly suspicious, but there is a very, very valid case to make for the timing for that. So it's like, I can't really knock him too much. If that's the biggest criticism that I have for Jerome Powell, overall, like, good job. Like, damn good job.
Yep. You know, in regards to this this most recent FOMC, even during times when he was speculating about the potential of like, hey, what if inflation does start to move up a little bit higher than what we expect? What if the labor market does keep expanding and you're going to introduce upwards pressure to inflation? The language is very specific. He never once did he mention the possibility of once again moving rates up. He was like, we could keep the rates elevated for longer, which has always been the plan, right? Higher for longer, if that were the case. But never once did he say, we're considering moving the rates back up again. Not once. Not once. Even in scenarios where he was like, labor market expands or inflation goes up a little bit higher. However, he did mention that if the labor market were to contract suddenly, right, which means unemployment starts going a little bit higher, and or inflation starts moving faster than normal. He was like, well, we can also move to cut rates a little bit more aggressive, right? So the language was either we keep the rates higher for longer, or the opposite direction, we can start being a bit more aggressive with the cuts. Not once did he inject the possibility of we're gonna kick rates back up, right? And so it was fairly neutral to dovish, that entire FOMC.
Oh, for sure. I only got through about half of the FOMC. These are my literal notes that I took when I was on my drive. I was not driving for it, just to be clear here.
A bit of advice for Jerome. You need to start off every FOMC after your speech. You got to call on Gina first. Okay.
Yeah. Where's our girl? She wasn't here for this one. That was the biggest disappointment. I fired up the video with like your comment from the last time we covered it in mind. And I was like, all right, where's she at? And I was like, what? No. Yeah. Preliminary notes that I have is that Jerome Powell actually repeated for multiple different questions, like almost verbatim, that they're not in a hurry to make adjustments, which is that based on everything he's seeing right now is that the inflation seems manageable. And in his personal opinion, he believes that the unemployment rate is at a very stable position. He even started off by saying that the labor market has cooled but remains solid, because he was referencing that in healthy economic times, your unemployment rate really should be around 4%, which guess what? We're at like 4.0, 4.1%, bouncing around somewhere in there. So he's happy with that. And he said, we don't anticipate that the labor market is going to be moving a whole lot, but we are going to be keeping a closer eye on inflation. It seems that they've gotten the unemployment stuff under control, and that it did increase obviously from our like super low lows around like 3.5, 3.6%. And we got all the way up to 4.3, I want to say. I'd have to go check my older notes on that one. But yeah, overall, labor market's good.
I think 4.2 was the high. Well, let me double check here. I got the economic calendar pulled up. What was the last print? Let's go. Previous week. No, that would be previous month.
I think I got you here.
Let's go 3-star. All right. January JOLTS FOMC minutes. Unemployment rate. Yeah, 4.2 was the high end.
4.2. Yep. And we sat there for July, August, and November.
Yep.
So also, folks, keep in mind the inflation unemployment. These are all old data metrics. So like the unemployment rate that we're going to get for this upcoming one here in February is going to be for January. So we're always a month behind pretty much. So we're, again, I mention it every time we talk about this, especially over the last 6 months, which is we're really not going to get information on the pure Trump economy probably until March, if not April, because in March, we're going to get our first full month of February data. January, you can still technically call that, but Trump was only in office from January 21st through the 31st. So that's 11 whole days effectively. So that's not really a complete month worth of data. So yeah, I'm looking at March as the first real indicator for me. And then even after that, I think we're going to need at least 3 snapshots to get a more holistic picture of it. And yeah, I know I'm telling you that we're going out to like June here, but I think that's pretty realistic. With what's going on right now though, is that I do think that I feel pretty good with Jerome Powell being in there. He's a solid guy. I think we have a decent control over inflation, but I think that we're going to start to see the inflation numbers get a little bit skewed with all the trade war stuff going on. Because if we're actually looking at tariffs, yes, tariffs are a tax on the American people, but the way that the Trump administration is using them is very in a negotiating way. It's more it's a larger metagame about how the world governments interact with each other and how the U.S. is actually starting to use a lot of soft power to affect things and get what they want out of it. So I think that we're going to see some interesting stuff going on. And I think that with tariffs, we're going to have a unique situation coming up here, which is that tariffs are technically an inflationary tax on the American people. But at the same time, tariffs also have a protectionary measure for the American economy. And especially if we're looking at the American production base, what that means is that the inflation might rise slightly, but the unemployment level probably won't, because what that incentivizes is it incentivizes more business inside of the United States. And if we're measuring the amount of people employed inside of the United States, yes, your prices might be a little bit higher, but your employability is going to remain even, if not slightly tick up.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
It's a bit of a unique situation as opposed to everything else we've been dealing with over like the last 5 years.
Yeah. The pitch is always right. If you want to buy American, then you're gonna have to pay a little bit more of a premium, right? But where do you want to put your money? Do you want to support American manufacturing? Or do you want to support overseas manufacturing, right? And if you're gonna buy American, then you have to make peace with the fact that you might have to pay a little bit of a premium, right? Just
that's true.
It's truth.
I don't know if we've talked about this live on stream. Jay, what's your take on tariffs? I'm personally of the opinion that I think they can be used advantageously on a governmental scale to achieve policy objectives. There are going to be ramifications for prices and whatnot, but at the same time, if you're doing things for like national security or homeland defense kind of stuff, which is like, should we have a military production base be reliant on one of our chief adversaries is China? It's like, yeah, that is in my personal opinion, a situation like that is one of the best arguments that you can make for tariffs, which is like, we don't want to have a critical component reliant on an adversary that they could cut off at any time. How do you feel about the what's your tariff stance? How do you think about it?
I personally think so. If I were to take Trump's word at face value, right? He's imposing tariffs on these countries, right? In order to pay their share, right? It's like if you're going to export goods onto the U.S., right, you're going to have to pay a tax because you're taking advantage of our business and our dollars, right? I'm like, that's fair. But again, I think this is more of a metagame scenario, like you mentioned earlier, right? In that he's using the threat of that, or in this case, right, he's already imposed it on both Mexico and Canada, that if you don't get in line, then these will probably stay. There's a reason why I think it was David. It was David. He posted in our chat earlier, right, when the stream started, that Trump is already set to have a meeting tomorrow with Trudeau and with what was her name, man? Claudia from Mexico.
Oh yeah, our Mexican,
yeah,
Scheinbaum.
Scheinbaum. Yeah, her last name is Scheinbaum. Claudia Scheinbaum. Doesn't sound Mexican to me, Ben, but whatever. And that Trump is already set to have a meeting with both of them tomorrow. So this might get resolved as early as tomorrow, right? It's just it's a game of chicken. right? Who's going to capitulate first?
It
If you
really
want to have a
is.
dick measuring contest with Trump and with America, you're going to lose. Sorry to say.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look at the two scenarios of how the threat of trades of tariffs works, it's the case of the Colombian situation that we had like last week, which is that they actually started deportations of criminals to Colombia, and their president pretty much like publicly stated like, look, we're not taking these people. And then Trump came out while he was on the golf course even and was like, okay, cool. Come Monday, I'm going to set a 25% tariff on your country and give it a week or two. If you don't comply, we're going to raise it up another 25%. And then immediately in the same day, he was like, yep, we'll take him and we'll actually help you. So it's like that is the case where the threat of tariffs got the job accomplished. But now this is going to be a different case, which is it didn't quite get accomplished. So now you actually have to make them feel a little bit of pain. And for folks saying that this is going to make American stuff more expensive, it's like, yes, it will be. But at the same time, if you look at the balance of trade between the countries, it's like, I want you to guess, do we send more stuff to Mexico and Canada, or do we receive more stuff from Mexico and Canada? And I would argue that the answer is that we receive more stuff more than we send to those countries. So if we have this kind of like, it's an uneven effect, which is that it's going to hurt us a little bit, but theoretically it's going to impose more pressure or more pain on the other folks at the other end of it. Because if they can't sell, then they can't keep their economy going. So again, this is a lot of like international relations stuff that we probably don't get into here on DRT very usually, but I think this is an interesting time in the world, and we're going to start to see the effect of these things that we've really only ever had like the mental war games over, and now it's actually to start seeing where the rubber meets the road, so to speak.
Yep, agreed. It'll be interesting to see exactly how much pain they're willing to take before eventually capitulating over to a good old DJT.
That's true.
Right.
Oh man,
because if you are relying on importing your goods to our shores to keep your economy floating, that tax is heavy. 25%. That is a heavy tax, man. So you best get in line, otherwise, well, I mean, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what they do for sure, but 25% is
it's not nothing. And that is a good chunk of change.
That's a good chunk of change, man.
True. Real quick,
we complain about 10% long-term cap gains.
That's true. Look, I don't know if we've covered it yet on this channel, but there was the proposal of getting rid of the income tax and just going purely to a tariff-based structure. A lot of people don't remember that we originally started off the nation as a entirely tariff-based structure, pretty much, and the income tax didn't exist until, oh gosh, what was it? The 16th Amendment was the one that gave the federal government the ability to levy a federal income tax. I believe that's the one. But yeah, before that, this is a bit of a, not to kind of toot my own horn here a little too much, but back in the day, Alexander Hamilton wrote a letter to the president of the United States at the time saying that in order to get our young and foundling nation going, we need a fleet of swift and nimble boats, or ships, if you will, that will be stationed in ports of interest to collect tariffs on incoming and outgoing goods. And that was later on to be established as the Revenue Cutter Service. You combine that with 4 more agencies, and you end up with the modern day Coast Guard. So there you go. That's the history behind that.
I'm not as much of a actually. I know very little about history. Only the history that matters to me, anyway.
Fair enough.
So I will defer to you in that aspect.
Yeah, the reason I know that one is because when you're in the Coast Guard, you learn about the history, and it's like, oh, cool. It's like, yes, we also love to give the Navy a bit of grief and claim that we were the longest continuous seagoing service, because there was like 2 years there where the Navy had to reform, so they technically didn't exist for a little bit. And it's like, we still did, though. True. By the way, I've had these saved up for a hot minute, and I do want to get to them. Some chats. We had Moonpill Rational Optics a lot earlier, before we even had the great stream of watching prices tank. He says, buy opportunity, plain and simple. Very, very happy face. And then next up, we also had our good friend Beyond All. He says, is this the time for different alts? There was no sign of life. Is this time different for alts? There was no sign of life for most compared to the last 2 cycles.
we already kind of went over that beyond all. I'm not sure if you're still here, but realize that this is well within the timeline. We showed the others chart, right? Valued against Bitcoin. And you can see that post-halving year, February, there's a capitulation moment before the inevitable big dick move to the upside.
Yeah, it's very possible. And like Jay and I are constantly saying around here, we're going to assume that the trend is going to hold until it is confirmed to not have held. And as it stands right now, the tweet with the altcoin season that Jay brought up earlier still looks like it's holding. So is this time different? I'm going to go ahead and say no right now. But there are absolutely new factors. The amount of altcoins in the space has absolutely exploded. And the amount of capital that's in the market has also drastically increased too. So there are different factors at play. However, the overall fundamentals going on, in my personal opinion, have not changed.
Agreed.
Here. And last but not least, we do have our good friend, Conspiracy Crypto, aka Ramon. How you doing, man? He says, "What's up, fam?" It's good to see you, my man. It's good to see everybody out here tonight. By the way, this is I'm in producer chair tonight, so I have access to looking at the live metrics, and this is actually one of our more viewed streams. So I want to give a massive thank you to all you guys out there continuing to stick with us, stick with the conversation, and keep it going in the comments section. You guys have been absolutely on fire tonight. Some good questions, some good shout outs, some good laughs, some jeers, and Moonpilled Rational Optics walking me back off the metaphorical ledge from my story earlier. So yeah, shout out to all you guys. Jay, we are at the 2 hour. Sorry,
before
go for
we
it.
round off here, let me go ahead and share our economic calendar, just because I want to give folks a little bit of a preview of the big ticket items that we have to keep an eye on next week. And on top of that meeting Monday morning between, well, not Monday morning, but just the meeting supposedly between Trump, Trudeau, and Claudia. So let's go ahead and pull up our economic calendar here. We have a ton of labor market data coming out next week, right? Remember, labor market data can push the market to the upside or to the downside, depending on how it comes out. Last labor market data, the chunk of labor market data that we got for December, right? That sent the markets pretty bullish. And so there's no reason to assume that it's going to be any different this time around, right? In particular, we have the JOLTS job openings on Tuesday at 8 a.m. And then the ISM services PMI, 8 a.m. on Wednesday. And then we have the big
Real
ticket
quick,
items.
PMI is an inflation one, right?
Yes, sir. So let's go ahead and take a look at the PMI really quickly, right? And the definition: the non-manufacturer ISM report on business is based on data compiled from purchasing and supply executives nationwide. Survey responses reflect the change, if any, in the current month compared to the previous month, right? For each of the indicators measured, which is in business activity, new orders, backlog of orders, new export orders, inventory change, etc., right? The report shows the percentage reporting each response and the diffusion index. An index reading above 50% indicates that the non-manufacturing economy in that index is generally expanding. Below 50% indicates that it is generally declining. So I know that sounded like a whole bunch of gobbledygook, right? But if that number is expanding, right, which means prices are going up, which means that it's going to be a positive pressure, upwards pressure on inflation. If that number is going down, then it's the opposite, right? So that's the PMI in a nutshell. So that's coming out, I believe, Wednesday. And then Friday, the big ticket item for Friday is as follows. We have not only the unemployment rate coming out, but we also have non-farm payrolls, and then the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index survey, right? So a lot of labor market data coming out over the next week. So that is certainly something to pay attention to, because this is going to give an indication on what inflation might potentially be doing and what obviously the labor market is doing. Is it expanding? Is it contracting? And you want stable, right? You want stable. If these numbers move too far to the up or downside, then it's either going to scare inflation people that inflation is resurging, or it's going to, if unemployment is once again rising too fast, then it's going to inject the fear of recession, right? So you don't want any major moves to the up or downside. You want stable stable numbers, especially in terms of unemployment. So that's what we got going on for next week. So keep your head in the swivel. Like I mentioned, next week is not the time to not be paying attention to the markets.
Absolutely. On top of that, the week after that, we are going to get our CPI report from the Bureau of Labor Management on the 12th. So not this upcoming Wednesday, but the one after that. And then additionally, remember, we mentioned it multiple times. We just had the Federal Reserve meeting, and the next one is going to be in March 19th. So we got a hot minute before we get our next Fed meeting, and this is going to be one of the ones where we actually get doubled up on data before the next Fed meeting.
Yep. So a lot of stuff coming out. Remember, CPI is important, but keep an eye on that core CPI number. If that core CPI number heads a little bit lower, and it was already a pretty bullish print last time, right? The core CPI came in much lower than expected, which is the long-term number that the Fed really cares about. So if that thing keeps inching lower, good sign.
Very, very true. And then just as a final future calendar note, if you listen to the press conference from this last Federal Reserve meeting, Jerome Powell mentioned that there's going to be some Fed Listen events coming up in the pretty much every month until we get to May, where there's actually going to be a large conference. So the Fed is going to be taking in a lot of data coming up here, and May is the big conference date. But yeah, I think Jay, you hit it right on the head there at the beginning, though, which is that next week we got a lot of data coming in. So yeah, we could get a lot of market movement based on that, on top of everything else we see going on right now. So yeah, folks, keep your head on a swivel.
It's like DeepSeek, tariffs, labor market.
Look, Jay, I can only hope that the rest of the market is having as good of a January as you had, and that we get good unemployment numbers. But we'll see when we have the transition of power there. And keep in mind, Trump did give it a giant executive order to pretty much remove DEI stuff from the federal government. So that could be a lot of departments and a lot of different agencies that could have taken a hit there. So we'll see. And and they also had the mandate to have federal employees come back to the office. So like no more telework, no more remote work, and that
he's listening.
There's a lot of stuff lining up, dude.
Yeah. You know, Elon is like, bro, you're coming into work, man. What are you doing? Like, what are you talking about? You're staying home. Get your ass back to work, bro.
That's true. That's true. Gosh, do we have a? Do you want to give one final shout out to our good friend Crypto Boogie? He reposted a tweet. He reposts a lot of good stuff. If you're not following Boogie, go follow Boogie. His handle is at US Crypto Boogie, but he had this one, which is just in Mexican peso and Canadian dollar crash following President Trump's new tariffs. So there's a lot going on. I'll say that much. There's a lot going on. All right, Jay, any final thoughts for the evening, good sir?
No, sir. I'm hungry. Let's get out of here.
Let's do it. Jay, where can the folks find you?
You can find me on Instagram at agent_J Schroth, on X at _P90 Hex. But more importantly, you can find me, because this is where I spend most of my time doing my crypto analysis, in the Telegram channel, which you can scan a QR code, jump in there. If things go left next week, there will be a ton of emergency meetings being dropped for the Telegram members exclusively. They get it before YouTube. So sorry, but our members get it first. Until then, thank you for joining us this wonderful Sunday evening. We know that time is your most valuable asset, so we do appreciate that you spend some of the time here with us. Like the damn video, comment, subscribe, scan the QR code, jump into the Telegram channel. Z, take us out, my friend.
Will do. Folks, if you love this, there's a good chance you're going to like what we're doing tomorrow over at Walk the Block, our YouTube channel, and we also have a Twitter. It is at Walk the Block NDF. That stands for Navigating Digital Finance. And boy, we're going to be doing some navigating upcoming. But yeah, outside of that, folks, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at my handles. Zenithdi stands for Digital Investments, but RH Max coined it for me as Distinguished Investor when I appear on his channel. So shout out to him and all. He's been hosting me over there a bunch lately. We've been doing a lot of great streams. Did a really good one with Nuclear Herbs recently. Did a bit of a panel show with Kong and our boy Brizology last week as well. So RH Max got to go show that guy some love, show all the boys love. And folks, yeah, please get in the Telegram. We're trying to keep it free as long as we possibly can. We have been starting to get some of the scammers and ne'er-do-wells popping in, trying to grift off of our community, and they are quickly removed. So we're going to try to keep that free as long as we possibly can. So get in early, get in often. But yeah, that is all we got. Folks, Jay said it once, I'll say it again. We know that time is your most valuable asset, and we want to thank you every time that you spend it here with us. So until we catch you guys next time, which is going to be on Wednesday, by the way, I believe we have a special guest. I'm pretty sure we have Shill Gates lined up for this week, but if not,
that's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, it's going to be great. I had a good time with him.
Look, man,
we'll run RH Max's channel. So
I got to shout out to Shill Gates, man, because he didn't get the fucktards from Pulse Chain to scare him off, because man, there's a lot of people that if I was him, I'm gonna be like, man, fuck this shit, bro. You got somebody who's a significant following, actually about, like, not just trying to do a cash grab, right? Like, he's actually about it. Like, he's seen the value proposition. He really engaged with the community. He liked it, and then people were just like pushing him out. I'm like, bro. So kudos to him for sticking around, man.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure to stream with him before, and he's a fun guy, and everything I've seen of him ever since he showed up on the space for us, I think he's actually a very, very solid dude. I caught Miguel Dollar Cost Crypto did an AMA last night when Pump.Tires launched last night, and Shillgates hopped onto that one with him, and he's like, dude, I'm not launching anything on here because the community would probably come from my neck and be like, oh, you just joined so you can launch a meme coin and rug us. And he's like, not doing that. There is a Shillgates coin on the Pump.Tires thing. He publicly declared, he's like, dude, that is not me. I am not doing that. So please be aware of that, and very, very much looking forward to hanging out with him. That's going to be an excellent show. Outside of that, though, folks, thank you again. Time is your most valuable asset. You've spent 2 hours, 11 minutes, and now 5 seconds of it here with us. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Until we see you guys next time, I want everyone out there to continue to degen responsibly.